29, obviously because WWE had other plans for Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar versus Triple H had never happened before on pay-per-view. They had never been in a feud from the early thousands, and I said when this first match came to be on pay-per-view, I said that this was a match that needed to happen in the early thousands. This match was happening a little bit too late, and if it were to have happened in the early thousands, it would have definitely catapulted Brock Lesnar to winning even more championships and more honors in professional wrestling. The match between The Rock and Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam of '02 was impressive, but would it have been just as impressive if we would have seen Brock Lesnar versus Triple H back in '02? I think in the early thousands this feud would have been better, and this year at WrestleMania you could have had a match that never happened before that would have been more impressive because of their list of accomplishments and how similar and how frightening the tale of the tape is. Batista versus Lesnar is a match that should have happened at WM29 as opposed to Brock Lesnar versus Triple H for the second time, the sequel to the 2012 SummerSlam match that they had that had a lot of intensity and a lot of emotion. The emotions and intensity of the match at WrestleMania 29 was magnified, and it could have catapulted either Brock Lesnar or Triple H into having a feud with the returning, let's say, Batista, but Batista has yet to appear on a live WWE television show in front of the camera. And there was a lot of footage taken of this teaser of The Rock versus Batista, and it left wrestling fans with the impression who attended the show more especially that night that we were going to be seeing Batista versus The Rock for the WWE Championship, and the answer to who would win that match was honestly Batista, because of the impression that he had. The last time that we saw him on WWE television was back in 2010 when he had that I Quit match with John Cena. The following night on Raw he was fired by then Raw General Manager Bret Hart, and we haven't seen Batista on WWE television since. Now, I thought the night after WrestleMania 29 would fit perfectly with Batista's return to the WWE. He could have come out and challenged The Rock for the WWE Championship after The Rock retained the title against John Cena. I guess because of prior commitments from The Rock and his management company, he had to drop the WWE Championship. Obviously, it was just to promote a lot of things The Rock had going on theatrically and outside of the WWE, like Pain and Gain and Fast and Furious 6, which was released back on the 24th of last month, and it's garnered over $300 million within its first few days of its release. Obviously, The Rock had prior commitments. They couldn't go ahead with The Rock versus Batista or Brock Lesnar versus Batista, so we're going to have to wait just a little bit longer to see this match, but that doesn't change the fact that Batista versus Lesnar is a match that needs to happen just as much as Triple H versus Batista needed to happen back in '05. This match needs to happen just as much or even more so back in 2013. I think this match is a dream match that has received the most attention, and if you have any other dream matches you would like to contribute to this conversation, what are some matches you would like to see by, let's say, the midway point of 2013 or the early part of 2014? What are some dream matches that haven't happened that you would like to see? You can tell me on YouTube at youtube.com/JonathanClarke22 by leaving me a few comments, by creating your own hashtag at Twitter on JonathanClarke1, and you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/HWEntertainment and send me some of your dream matches. There are a list of dream matches that I could throw at you over this microphone this week on the show that would take me hours to run through, so I will spare you the pain. My top 3 matches that I would love to see, maybe The Rock versus Bret Hart, Batista versus The Rock, or Batista versus Brock Lesnar. 2 of those 3 matches, of course, involve Batista, and he's nowhere to be seen. Now, if you followed Batista after he left the WWE, he had an impressive career for himself in mixed martial arts, something you would have never thought for someone like Batista to even attempt or have a great deal of success in. Now, you never thought Brock Lesnar would dominate in the UFC and become a champion shortly after his arrival, similar to how he became champion shortly after his arrival in the WWE, but he did, and he dominated there for a significant amount of time, and Batista dominated just as much in the MMA. I think that WWE superstars that have that size and that presence about them dominate outside of the WWE, and the reason for the length of Batista's absence from professional wrestling, longer than some people who have left the business only to return a few short years after, is because Batista had a great deal of success even more outside of the WWE, and it provided Batista with competition that actually was at his level, and it was more real, and that's why we didn't see Brock Lesnar want anything to do with the WWE for a number of years. It was because Brock Lesnar was unable to compete in the UFC and was forced to retire because of a stomach injury after being kicked in the stomach that he came back to the WWE. All Batista needs, the point of what I'm saying here, is a reason to come back to professional wrestling full-time because the work ethic isn't as hectic, and it will allow Batista to achieve publicity, which is something Batista wants to promote things that he's got going on outside of either professional wrestling and the MMA. MMA and professional wrestling are two different worlds, and that's why it's kept Batista and Lesnar out of the spotlight when it comes to the WWE for a number of years. They realized they had done everything that they were able to do in the WWE from the first half of their careers. They didn't want anything to do with Vince McMahon or the WWE in its entirety, and now in 2013, with the overwhelming popularity of the WWE significantly increasing since Batista and Lesnar were both there, Brock Lesnar comes back before him, and I think Brock Lesnar wants this match as much as Dave Batista wants it. It wouldn't surprise me on the night of Brock Lesnar's return, Batista didn't call Vince McMahon and said, do whatever you have to do to make Batista versus Lesnar happen at an event like SummerSlam or WrestleMania 30. And to me, WrestleMania 30, if this match doesn't happen by SummerSlam 2013, is the appropriate venue, and the circumstances will be met for Batista versus Lesnar. There's just something about the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania and Lesnar versus Batista for either the WWE or World Heavyweight Championship that fits perfectly with this event, probably just as much as CM Punk versus The Undertaker fit with WrestleMania 29. And you can't argue the fact that Batista versus Lesnar would be a huge way to promote WrestleMania 30. One of the biggest reasons, of course, is the fact that this match has never happened on pay-per-view, and I think wrestling fans really want this match to happen, even more so than Sting versus The Undertaker. And Sting versus The Undertaker has been debated for the last at least 10 or 11 years. This match has never happened, and we're a long way away from seeing Sting versus The Undertaker for The Undertaker Street. But as a radio show host and columnist for the last 15 years, my analogy of that is, I still hold the belief that one day we will see Sting in a WWE ring, and we will see that dream match that's been wanted for years, Sting versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania maybe 35, for The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania, a streak that began back at WrestleMania 7. So still keep the faith when it comes to Sting versus The Undertaker. If anything, The Undertaker versus The Shield with his brother Kane will be a 3-on-2 handicap match for this year's WrestleMania if it doesn't happen by SummerSlam. If not that, The Undertaker will have just as equally as impressive as an opponent that he had last year at WrestleMania, or this year with CM Punk rather. It was so impressive that it's going to take a while before WWE ever top that match. So with that dream match kind of being put off for an additional few years, obviously Batista versus Lesnar is the match that we have the greatest chance of happening and witnessing this year at WrestleMania 30. And the fact that it's taking place in one of the most colorful cities of all time, New Orleans, just fits perfectly with WrestleMania. The venue and the circumstances will meet sometime down the road, and we will see Batista versus Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. If not then, we will see it before then at SummerSlam 2013. This is a match that needs to happen, and if you ask me, there honestly is no reason why Batista versus Lesnar can't happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to archive this video and feature it for you as one of our trailers on the new YouTube One channel of HEW Entertainment. If you have not checked out the brand new YouTube One channel of HEW Entertainment, you are missing out on a lot. So if you like this video on Batista versus Lesnar, make sure you subscribe and join the conversation with us on YouTube. There are a lot of featured videos and popular videos for you, a detailed description, links to our Facebook, Twitter, and official website. There's even a link directly to our RSS Wrestling news feed for you to keep you in the loop of information and things going on with our official website. Make sure you subscribe to the new YouTube One channel of HEW Entertainment. Really love the new feel of our YouTube One channel, and I'm sure the majority of our thousands of listeners do as well. So if you have not subscribed, make sure you do. We are also inviting you to join the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/HEW Entertainment, and on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke1, where you'll see the teaser of The Rock versus Batista. You may have to scroll down through our tweet archives to find it, and there are also a lot of tweets pertaining to Batista versus Lesnar, which is a match that really needs to happen. You know, I've been wanting Batista versus Lesnar for a while, and for some reason WWE have just been putting this match off, and the only logical explanation I can give to you as a radio show host and columnist is the fact that Batista and Lesnar have received a tremendous amount of publicity, enough publicity outside of the WWE that WWE realized Batista and Lesnar have not had wanting anything to do with professional wrestling for a while. But I speak for every wrestling fan when I say that Batista versus Lesnar is a match that really needs to happen at an event like WrestleMania 30, and both the venue and the circumstances that could be put into fruition for this match to happen and take place under, it just fits perfectly, I think, with an event like WrestleMania 30. There's just something about the promotional campaign of this year's WrestleMania in 2014 that's forthcoming that just fits perfectly with Batista versus Lesnar, just as perfectly as The Undertaker versus CM Punk, and the circumstances Punk and Taker were faced with for that match fit perfectly with WrestleMania 29 just this past April, which is available now on both DVD and Blu-ray, one of the greatest WrestleManias and spectacles to be held in professional wrestling history. So make sure you check it out. Pick up the Blu-ray and DVD wherever WWE Blu-rays and DVDs are sold in your area. It was a tremendous piece of history and one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. CM Punk versus The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H, and of course John Cena versus The Rock in the sequel to WrestleMania 28's encounter back in 2012, when The Rock came back to just solidify his legacy by defeating John Cena, defeating three generation leaders from Hulk Hogan to Stone Cold Steve Austin, to capping it off with a victory over John Cena at WrestleMania 28. Both WrestleManias 28 and 29 are available on both Blu-ray and DVD. They are pieces of history that is a must-have for every wrestling fan, just as Batista versus Lesnar, when it is eventually released on Blu-ray and DVD, is going to be a must-have for wrestling fans. This is a match, point blank, that has never happened before on pay-per-view, and it's never happened before, period, in professional wrestling, no matter what the organization, from the WWE to TNA Wrestling. It has never happened before. Even wrestling organizations that are never in business anymore, like ECW and WCW, never before has Batista versus Lesnar in any organization, has ever happened. So I think this match is a must-have by at least WrestleMania 30. Anyway, give me your opinion on Batista versus Lesnar. I'm going to archive this video for you as a trailer and a feature video for you on the new YouTube One channel of HEW Entertainment. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Who do you think would have the decisive advantage, and who do you think would come out on top in Batista versus Lesnar? Facebook.com/HEW Entertainment. I'm inviting you to join the conversation on there. You can follow me on Twitter at JonathanClarke1, where you'll find a lot of tweets pertaining to the teaser of Batista versus The Rock and Batista versus Lesnar, amongst our over 13,000 tweets. If you aren't already following us, like a number of users are already doing, make sure you do on Twitter at JonathanClarke1, and you can also leave me a few comments and subscribe to this video if you like it, and this entire channel at youtube.com/JonathanClarke22, the brand new YouTube One channel of HEW Entertainment. I've got some music on the way for you next. Ozzy